Welcome one more day to Space in Harmonia. We are already fully immersed in 2022, and this is the second video of the year in English. I already published one in Spanish. Remember, this is a bilingual channel. I try to address the subjects parallelly in English and Spanish, so don't worry if you go to the Spanish video and maybe read in the transcriptions something that is not in some of the English versions of the videos, because I always bring the same subjects and comment the same keys. And this time I would like to bring something I was receiving during the last 9 days of this year. I have been going deeply into myself, experiencing a deep calm, serenity, wonderful insights that I would like to share with you. And it has to do with the transformation of negative emotions in order to access the big heart of the universe, the heart of the Master, full of compassion, serenity, vitality, a love that transcends all limits. We can call this the higher emotional center, which is also full of conscience, giving us the exact idea of what we have to do, how to act. And we cannot do that if we don't leave behind negative emotions such as grudge, rage, hate for everything that is happening right now. Actually, some people told me that last year was very difficult for them. This is true. It was difficult for everyone. There were many changes and difficult situations in which we had to handle with negative emotions. And precisely this is a year to leave all that behind, to transform, to give fruit from a point of serenity, clarity, and we have to access that higher emotional center, we can call it that way, higher in terms of vibration. So our mind must also be quicker. There is also a higher mental center, and we are going to see today that the only way we can access those higher centers is by harmonizing our basic 5 centers, but with a clear vision as taught by Master Ishu. We can also find echoes of that teaching in other messages, but the other day, as I was meditating in silence on the morning, I received a key which shocked me, because I already knew some passage of scripture that is full of details, even though I hadn't come across what I'm going to tell you now. It's a very important nuance contained in one of the expressions. The passage is Matthew 6:22, and as I was receiving an insight concerning the words in that passage, the intuition that came to me was, this is the key for 2022. And it was shocking because the chapter 6 contains the energy which is basic in this 2022, 222 sums up 6. Remember how 6 can be a reference to the 6 basic virtues of the divine face, Seir Anpin, the little face in Hebrew wisdom. And those 6 virtues have also a correlation with the 6th center, the higher emotional center, something which is not a coincidence. But 22, which marks the specific location of that passage is also contained in 2022, and it can be read as the Master Builder number. Some people even have the 22 as main path, and is a path of genius, of bringing something great for the world. If you have a 22 in your birthday, that means you must bring something for others, building up with a great foundation, using your greatest skills. And remember that it also contains 11, twice, 11, 11. 11 is the master force that brings us to fulfillment, to manifest something for the world. 11 is an energy of intuition, of clear vision, sensitivity. And twice, this also indicates a mirroring effect, masculine, feminine, active, receptive, the infinite being reflected on the finite. And it's interesting because as I was explaining this, I saw in my clock 2311, which is a form of 1111. But 23 is a number that indicates the union of the masculine and feminine. The feminine is 2 and masculine is 3. So the union of divine masculine and divine feminine, which is something that will be important next year, 2023. But this year, we are somehow giving fruit with that divine force and connecting with the heart of the universe, in which there is a nurturing feminine energy. Obviously, to feel love, compassion, we need a great receptivity. We also need the masculine energy, which is diligent, is straightforward, and for that we need the balance of the two. So let's have a look for a while to the phrase in that passage, Matthew 6:22. It says, "The lamp of the body is the eye," your vision, your consciousness and conscience, if you will. If thy eye is simple, single, straightforward, your body will be full of light. But if your eye is in darkness, seeing things negatively, poneru, as it says in Greek, your body will be full of darkness. So if your light is darkness, how greater will be the darkness in you? And I already knew this passage, but as I was pondering on the meaning of the passage again, a new insight came to me deeply inside, as if a greater intelligence had deposited this new intuition in the silence of my inner space. And it contained the specific meaning of a word, which is haplos in Greek. If your eye is haplos, that's the expression in the Greek text, and this is usually translated as single, simple. Some texts say good, but that's a horrible translation, because if your eye is good, it's also establishing some duality. We are not looking for a good vision. We are looking for a vision which is full, seen with a single act of consciousness, which doesn't leave anything outside, but is not partial, is whole. It doesn't even suppress the negative, or it doesn't see the negative as negative. It sees something that is painful or destructive, but goes beyond. And I suddenly recall one of the meanings of the expression haplus, because I studied a little bit of Greek in the career when I was coursing anthropology and philosophy and deeper studies on ancient teachings. And one of the meanings of haplus is straightforwardly, without more, like that, just leave something like that, without going further, neither more nor less. So the master is addressing a type of attitude in which we have to be in the middle, in the first. Virtue resides in the exact point, and this is exactly what was also implied by the teachings of the Awakened One. Actually, in Pali, the language used by the Buddha, there is an expression known as Tat Hata, which means suchness, reality as it is, without the complexities of the mind. And Tat Agata is the one that sees reality as it is. So I think the expression haplus in that text means exactly the same. I would like to know the expression used in Aramaic. I will check that in the Peshitta, even though the Peshitta is a translation from the Greek, but I think it can be interesting to see the expression in Aramaic, because the master spoke Aramaic, which is a very interesting language because it gives the manifested meaning of the Hebrew, which is more codified. So master issue was helping us access a view that is not condemning, judging. Do not judge, and you shall not be judged. And why I'm saying all this? Because negative emotions derive mostly from a negative vision, negative thoughts. If we see something in the world which is unfair, unjust, as we are seeing nowadays with all the atrocities and barbarities perpetrated by those who are in power, well, there is a part in ourselves that wants to rebel even with violence, and we have to be mild and serene, be gentle as doves and wise as serpents, the master said, because this world is full of deception, and it seems that is trying to trigger our negative side. So we have to be serene, access that middle column of the tree of life, which is harmonia, and that we can balance the two extremes, especially the six middle virtues, Chesed and Geburah, mercy and force, can become sometimes self-indulgence and rage or negative judgment. So we have to be merciful, but not self-indulgent. Merciful with others, we have to forgive and understand that those who are causing harm, or even those who attack us or want to manipulate us, are in a process of self-destruction, self-forgetfulness, self-ignorance. We also have to understand that the rage in us, the despotism, tyranny, is a form of lacking true will, lacking diligence, lacking right discernment, which are aspects of Geburah. And when we access true diligence and discernment with mercy, then we can have compassion, which is actually the energy in Tiferet, beauty. We can feel how others suffer, and therefore we can help them. We can also feel our pain without rejecting it. We find beauty even in the process of going through darkness, finding our true center of self-recognition. We are beautiful beings, full of light, full of discernment and loving conscience, which is always in the middle. And that's how we overcome negative emotions in the sphere of Netzach, victory, emotional victory, with honesty or the splendor of truth. We have to be very honest with ourselves so that we don't put on masks. We have to be as we are, without trying to be accepted by others, doing things because society demands them, or because we think we are going to be loved by the family or friends if we behave in a certain way. No, we have to be honest and let the world know that we are a light that cannot be found easily in this world of darkness. That's the meaning of our life. Finding true meaning is what gives us the force to live, to continue, because we are exactly where we have to be right now, illumining the world. I am the light of the cosmos and you are the light of the cosmos, the Master said. That's how we can bring our vitality to flourish with the sphere of Yesod. Some people believe the sphere of Yesod is sexual energy, but that's not necessarily the case. Sexual energy is just one expression. It leads to biological reproduction. But that energy, which is very expansive and centrifugal, can be transformed and can be part of a greater energy, which leads to the higher emotional center. And it's very interesting to see how the 6 middle virtues, mercy, discernment with force, compassion, emotional harmonia, which is not anxiety, the honesty that we live inside, and the vitality in the soul. Those virtues lead to this higher emotional center in which we feel a profound bliss, profound love. We can also have visions. Actually, myths and deeper teachings use symbols and allegories that can only be understood from the higher emotional center, which is usually accessed in certain insights during our sleep, when our body, physical body, is sleeping, or even when we are meditating, as the other day. That insight I had came to me through the higher emotional center, in which conscience is activated. And when we access this deeper center, we can also get into contact with the higher mental center, the higher intellectual center, the divine intellect, the logos. And remember how the Master taught how to pray. And he said, when you pray, don't pray like the Pharisees that repeat things over and over again. You must go inside and pray to the Father who is in heaven, the Father who is in secret, he said. In secret is in what we now perceive as the unconscious, but it can become conscious. That's where true conscience is. And there is a passage where the apostles go fishing and they don't get any fish. And when the Master gets into fishing with them, he said, cast the net to the right of the boat. and they get 153 fish. When we sum up 1 plus 5 plus 3, we get 9, which are the 9 basic energies of the Tree of Life. And the right-hand side of the boat is the right-hand side of the soul, the right hemisphere. Chokmah, wisdom, in this case pleromatic wisdom, not Sophianic wisdom, which is more on the left side. Pleromatic wisdom has to do with seeing things clearly, without more nor less, straightforwardly, without choosing, receiving the truth, and accessing that dimension of ourselves in which we are connected to the Absolute. Actually, the Father in Heaven is that sphere of Chokmah, whereas the Malkut of the Tree of Life, the Malkut of Atzilut, would be the Kingdom of Heaven, as the Master called it. So we have to bring heaven and earth, the kingdom, together. And that's the new earth and the new heaven. That was part of the insight I received, and I said, wow, this is amazing, because we can live absolute reality even in this world of deception. But we have to go inside and understand the processes, the transformation that is taking place. And we cannot access that if we remain in negative emotions, anxiety, frustration, rage, hate. We must go further, raising the vibration, understanding that those emotions come from negative visions, from the eye which is split. So if the eye is simple, your body will be full of light, the primordial light, not the light of simulations. I would like to make a video commenting a very interesting song, which is known as Pure Imagination. You can listen to it watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Believe me, the song is amazing, because it gives the keys of this world of deception. It comes to say more or less that we can do whatever we please, and there is nothing keeping us from doing it. But that's precisely the problem. We didn't come to do what we please. We came to flourish with our wholeness, in contact with our true source. That's how we recognize the true Father. What's the meaning of speaking to our Father in heaven? Because if we don't understand what that means, it's like praying to some entity somewhere. But we are praying to that which gave us rise as conscious beings of light. We are not this simulation, this physical body. We are more. We live in a world of deception which has its own program, its own intelligence, artificial intelligence. And for that, the Pure Imagination song is wonderful. In the movie, the old one, with Gene Wilder as protagonist, we can find keys about how souls are recycled, how souls are tempted, and that's why I would like to make a video apart. So I'll see when I publish it. For the moment, I think it's enough. I gave important keys to ponder. Just remember that the key to transcend negative emotions is to understand their origin, which is a negative vision, pessimistic views, negative thoughts, judgments. And we must simply rest, allowing them to be dissolved, as if they were just mud in a pond. When we stop agitating the water, the particles go to the bottom and we can see clearly through the water of our mind. The clear vision is a clear water. And when we access that clear vision, there is nothing that can keep us from flourishing. So, thank you very much for listening, and let's keep cleaning the mind and the heart in a state of serenity to manifest the primordial love and modified life, integral conscience, and deep, blissful serenity.